Hey, third grade, happy Monday. So, we are going to be in Google Slides today, which I know at this point you guys are almost experts in. So, I'm really excited. So, I want to show you how you are going to take your Little Red Riding Hood adaptations that we did on last week, the end of last week. You guys listed some changes that you would make to the Little Red Riding Hood story. And what we're going to do is we're going to take those changes and we're going to put them into our Google Slides. And so the one that I'm modeling for you is going to be based on the story Cinderella. And I'm choosing a different story because I want you guys to create your own stories on Little Red Riding Hood. And Mrs. Lutz and I felt that us doing Cinderella would be better than us doing Little Red Riding Hood with you. So we're going to do the same thing, but we're using the storyline for Cinderella. So first, I want to kind of talk to you guys about how to write a fairy tale adaptation. So an adaptation, a word you guys might have heard with like how animals adapt to their environments, like animal adaptations. So it just means like a change, right? So how do we change fairy tales? We have a few things to think about here. So the first thing we need to do is think about the classic story and list like all the components of the classic story first, right? Retell it over and over and over again so you know all the parts. Okay. Then we're going to decide on a change to improve the story, right? How am I going to make it better? How am I going to make it exactly how I want it, more unique, more entertaining, funnier, right? So decide how you're going to change or improve this story. Then you're going to make one change lead to other changes. And Mrs. Lutz talked to you guys about this last week, right? So each change you make has to lead to another change, right? They're all connected. So you can't just say, okay, I'm going to change the setting and then the rest of the story is going to be the same, right? You're going to say, okay, I'm going to change the setting and then that setting is going to impact this part of the story and then that part of the story is going to impact the next part of the story, right? And we'll see how that looks today. Next is to make a character that wants to run into trouble, right? We always have to have a villain in these stories. So make sure that you're making a character with like really developed character traits for someone who really is like looking for trouble. Okay. And these last two pieces, this is where we're really going to focus our time for today and tomorrow. So first is tell the story in 2 or 3 scenes. We're going to do that today. And to tell or act out the story in those scenes, giving lifelike details. Okay. So what we're going to do is go into Google Slides and I have created a template for you guys. Let me get rid of this here. I created a template for you guys. Now our anchor chart says to tell it in 2 or 3 scenes, and we're going to do that. But you're going to see already on my template, I have a lot of scenes here. I put, I think up to 6. Yeah. And then I left a blank one here if you need to end anything. And then there's the end. Okay. Now, where you guys are going to find this is exactly where you found your research project templates. So you're going to go into your Google Classroom. And then in your Google Classroom, let's see if I can show you my Google Classroom. I got to open up Clever. So I go to Clever. I'm going to go to my Google Classroom. Tile here. I'm not sure why that's happening. Okay. I think I have too many tabs open. Okay. So this is obviously my Miss Feliciano's Google Classroom. Mrs. Lutz's friends, you guys are going to go into Mrs. Lutz's classroom. I think you guys know that. You're going to go into the classwork tab and you'll find Fairy Tale Unit. Okay. If you click on the adaptation, I think you should click into the assignment first, where that blue clipboard is. And then you'll be able to click on the slides. Now you guys all have your own copies. So as soon as you click on this, it's going to be your own copy. And then I'll show you what me and Mrs. Lutz can see. Maybe not. Student work, here it is. So Mrs. Lutz and I, this is what it looks like for us. So each of you already has your own. Okay. And then we can go along and see how you're working, right? So you don't have to always submit it. I know I told my class to only submit it at the very, very end for me to grade it. Mrs. Lutz might tell you guys to submit each time you make a change, and then might send it back to you before she gives the final grade. But you have to talk to your teachers about that. So this is how you're going to find your slideshow presentation. Whoops. Here we go. So then once you open it up, this is what you're going to see. Now mine says Cinderella, and I'm just going to change this to Cinderella. Okay. I'm going to start with first change, and something that I'm also going to add where it says click to add subtitle. This is where you're going to put your name. Okay. You can write by if you want. You don't have to. But that black bar, that's where your name is going to go as the author. So when you go to scene 1, I tried to make these really simple for you guys because I think in the research project, the little caption boxes and the image boxes got a little confusing. Especially, I know the table of contents was kind of wacky with like the spacing and stuff. So these slides are very, very simple. If you want to title your slide, you're going to click in here and you can say, opening. You don't have to. You can just leave it as scene 1. But I put the little colon there to give you guys the option. And then here, click to add text. That's it. That's all you got to worry about right now. Now for today, we're not even going to be typing. Today, we're going to be speaking, and I'm going to teach you guys a cool trick. I'm going to teach you how to turn your speech into text. So you see, I'm going to draw your attention down here where it says click to add speaker notes. Did you guys see that down here? Okay. When I click it, that text goes away. But right down here, we're going to be adding some cool stuff in. So I want to share with you my version of Cinderella. So my version of Cinderella is going to be about a girl that lives in New York City, and she's like a basketball person, right? She's like she's a basketball star, really good at basketball. Now we know Cinderella has stepsisters, right? 2 stepsisters and a stepmother. So there's 3 kind of villains here, and they're not really nice to her. I also know that Cinderella is kind of like the servant of the house and like does everything for everybody and doesn't get to do anything for herself. So thinking about that storyline and thinking about, okay, she lives in New York City and she's like a basketball person, right? Like a huge basketball fan, loves basketball. How is that going to change the storyline? So then these are my notes here. I'm reading off of my notes. So then I was like, okay, well, what's the deal with her sisters, right? How her sisters are not going to be going, to a magical ball to marry a prince. That just doesn't fit with a New York City setting and a girl that plays basketball and is a huge NBA fan. So I thought, okay, well, what goes along with NBA that her sisters could be into? And then I thought, maybe cheerleading. So let's say her 2 sisters are super into cheerleading, and it's Cinderella's responsibility to like make sure they have their uniforms washed and their pom-poms ready and their sneakers white. And maybe she videotapes them at practice, right? That's going to be like her role. And then maybe her stepmother used to be like a really famous cheerleader. And that's why like she bonds really well with the stepsisters about this cheerleading stuff, but doesn't really bond with Cinderella or Cinderelle about basketball. So this is kind of like, just because I changed my setting and I changed my main character's interest, now all of a sudden those changes are building off of each other, right? I have now created what my villains are into, right? The cheerleading stuff, all based on those 2 changes that I made in the very beginning. So each change is going to lead off of each other. So what I'm going to show you guys on Google Slides is how you guys created those changes for Little Red Riding Hood. You're going to, just like I was speaking about the story, you're going to speak that into your slides. So on the top here, you're going to click on Tools. All right. And then you're going to do Voice Type Speaker Notes. Okay. And then a microphone is going to pop up. All right. You guys might have to click Allow Microphone. I already clicked it on mine, so I don't have to click it again. But for the first time, you guys will have to click Allow. When I'm ready, you're going to click to speak. Okay. Now, this is scene one. So I'm thinking about the story in three scenes. I have like introducing my characters and like the background of the story. Then scene two might be about where they're headed, right? I know in the Cinderella story, they were headed to the ball. The prince was trying to find a wife. Um, and then scene three would be like the fairy godmother part, like going to the ball, and then the prince trying to find the glass slipper around around the whole kingdom, right? So that would be like my three scenes. Thinking about my changes, I already kind of talked to you guys through scene one. So I'm going to show you guys how to audio record the speaker notes. What you're going to notice is as I'm speaking, the text is going to start typing everything that I'm saying in the bottom here. And it's going to be pretty cool. Okay. The setting is in New York City. My main character is named Cinderella. Cinderella loves basketball and she is a huge NBA fan. She is the type of person who is strong, athletic, and quick on her feet. Cinderella lives with her two stepsisters and her stepmother. Her stepsisters and her stepmother are not very kind. Her stepsisters are cheerleaders, and her stepmom also used to be a cheerleader. Cinderella is responsible for gathering all of the materials for all of the cheerleading practices. She gathers things like the cheerleading uniforms, pom-poms, sneakers, and she also videotapes all of the cheerleading practices for her sisters. Okay, and I'm going to stop recording. And then if you look here, what's kind of cool, I'm going to slide this up so you guys can see it a little better. Everything that I just said is typed in here, which is awesome. But it's not in my slides. And I did that on purpose because I don't want you guys to type in the slides yet. I just want you guys to be able to just speak about your story. You're going to notice that everything I said was typed. Okay. And some things, like I said Cinderella and they wrote Cinderella. That's okay. But they capitalized things for me, which is nice. The thing that didn't happen is periods and punctuation. So when you're doing voice to text, like I can go back and edit in here, but when you're doing voice to text, you have to tell the computer to say period or comma or exclamation point. So I'm going to click enter 2 times, and then I'm going to practice saying some of these things, and I'll show you how you can direct the computer to type periods for you. How to write a fairy tale adaptation, exclamation point. First, know the classic story and tell it often, period. Then decide on a change to improve the story, period. Okay, pretty cool, right? So anytime you need a punctuation, you just have to say what it is and they'll put it in for you. Okay, I'm going to take this out because I don't need it. But what I want you guys to do today is you can go back into your assignments either on Dojo or on Seesaw and find those 3 changes that you made throughout your story. Those are going to be your 3 scenes. And I want you to use this speak to text feature in your notes, in the notes section. You don't have to click into the notes section. So if I go to my next slide, okay, I'm going to click on tools. I'm going to click on voice type speaker notes. Oops, I'll click on it again. Okay, and then now I'm in scene 2. I'm in my next slide, and I can click on when I'm ready, click on the microphone, and everything will be there. Now, what's really nice about this tool is that you can act out your story, and you can even if you have a sibling at home or a parent at home, you can be telling your parent or your sibling or your cousin or whoever's at home with you, telling them the story like you would your classmates in school. And then everything is recorded, all of your words. You just have to make sure you're speaking clearly. And if you have the TV on in the background, it might pick up some of that text the voice from the TV. So things have to be pretty quiet because it'll pick up other voices and other text. But it's a really cool tool for you to get all of your ideas out, and they're typed for you, and they're mostly spelled correctly, which is pretty awesome. So that's what you guys are going to work on today. You're going to work on just your scenes 1, 2, and 3. Don't worry about all of the rest. We'll get to that later. I just put them in there for now. And you're going to use this, go to tools and do the audio, the speak to text feature. Okay. Good luck. If you guys need any help with this is something that is brand new. So please use Mrs. Lutz and I's office hours if you need help. It's not too hard, but it can be confusing if you forgot the steps. So you can always rewatch little clips of this video as many times as you need. You can rewind certain parts, and we're here to support you in whatever you guys need. All right. Thanks, guys. You're going to do great.